Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohanju ki jai Nitil Vishnu Vishnuvar Ashtatarashta Shishimar Bhakti Viranta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Gurudev ki jai Nitil Vishnu Vishnuvar Ashtatarashta Shishimar Bhakti Viranta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai Nitil Vishnu Vishnuvar Ashtatarashta Shishimar Bhakti Viranta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada ki jai Nitil Pravishta Mahabhagavat Shila Gokshara Swabhaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Bhatta Shaghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshada Vrinda ki jai. Nama Jai Shri Das Ṭhākura ki jai. Prem Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Kora Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Avishya Bharata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunvilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya. You can say it. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. Surve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam pravrajantamanopetamapeta krityam dvaipayano virahakatara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya taravobhinedus sangsarvabhutaridayam munimanatosmi Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye Shrinvatang Swakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Ridantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Suhritsatam Nashta Prayeshvavadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavaivasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Sharanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshaya Kshiptashtakama Ditaranga Madhe Kripa Mai Tvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charana Ravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hari bol, everybody. So, I woke up extra early this morning, and I went to sleep just a little bit before it was time to read, and I was like, I'm just going to take a little 20-minute nap. And it ended up being a half-hour nap. So that's why I am late. So I'm going to just jump right into it. Dandavat pranams Gargaraj ji, Raseshwari Mataji, Madhavi Didi, Indira Mataji, and Surya Didi. Dandavat pranams to all of you. Should have set an alarm anyways. My mistake. Next time. Okay, what are we doing here? Okay, so yesterday we read about how Krishna decided to wrap up everything in this world. Yeah, let's just see. Oh, 1 second. Actually, let's just read from here, from Bhagavat Pravaha. Okay. Once, the sages, including Vishwamitra, Durvasa, Kashyapa, Angira, Vasishta, Narad, and others, went to a holy place called Pindaraka after performing a ritual at Vasudev's house. By Krishna's desire, in a playful mood, the young boys of the Yadu family dressed like Krishna's son in Samba. So they dressed Krishna's son Samba as a pregnant woman and inquired from the sages about the fruit of Samba's fictitious pregnancy. Disrespected, the sages cursed the mocking boys. They said, "You fools, she will give birth to a club that will destroy your dynasty." Shocked, the boys immediately lifted the garment from Samba's abdomen, and to their astonishment, they found a club. The boys were terrified and hastily brought the club to King Ugrasen and narrated everything. On the regretful king's order, the club was ground to powder and thrown into the ocean. But as Providence would have it, the waves carried all the bits of powdered club back to the shore, where they were absorbed and fructified into tall canes. A hunter named Jada found a small lump in that iron club from the belly of a fish and fashioned it into an arrowhead. These iron canes and hunter's arrow would ultimately be the means for the annihilation of the Yadus. The all-knowing Lord Krishna, although capable of reversing the Brahman's curse, didn't do so. Rather, in his formless time, he sanctioned all these events. The reasons why Krishna departed along with the Yadus are elaborated later. Understanding the curse on the Yadu dynasty and the imminent disappearance of Krishna, Vasudeva became anxious. He approached Narad Muni for enlightenment. Narad instructed him by narrating a conversation between King Nimi and the Navayogendras, the 9 great devotee sons of Rishabdev, Kavi, Havi, Antariksha, Prabhuda, Pipalayan, Abhihotra, Durmila, Chamasa, and Karabhajana. Once during their travels, the Navayogendras had come to see the sacrifice of Nimi. Nimi had asked them 9 glorious questions, each one of which was answered by one of the 9 great sages. So Nimi asked his first question, "Please tell me, what is the supreme good for the entire humanity?" Shri Kavi answered, "Fear comes from misidentification with matter, but if one worships the Supreme Lord Narayan and performs bhakti by one's body, mind, and senses, one will become fearless in this world." Okay, let's go back to this now and see Kavi's more detailed answer. That's what we finished with yesterday. Let's go back. Okay. Am I sharing my screen? Yes, I am. Good. Hare Krishna, Rohit Radhakrishnan ji. Okay. Narad said, O Vasudev, when Maharaj Nimi inquired from the 9 Yogendras about devotional service to the Lord, those best of saintly persons sincerely thanked the king for his questions, and with affection spoke to him in the presence of the priests and members of the sacrificial assembly. Shri Kavi said, for one whose intelligence is disturbed by his falsely identifying himself with the temporary material world, I consider that worship of the Lord's lotus feet, which produces fearlessness from the material world, is the highest goal, because Paramatma destroys all fears by that worship. Even ignorant living entities can very easily come to know the Supreme Lord if they adopt those means prescribed by the Supreme Lord. The process recommended by the Lord is known as Bhagavat Dharma. O King, one who accepts this process of devotional service will never be affected by pride. Even while running with eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. I remember when Gurudev was explaining this verse in Badger one year. In accordance with one's particular nature, whatever one does with body, words, mind, senses, intelligence, or purified consciousness, one should offer to the Lord, thinking, this is for the pleasure of Lord Narayan. Oh wait, that's what we're reading today. Okay. Kayena vachamanasendriyarva Kayena vachamanasendriyarva Buddhyatmana vanusrita swabhavat Karoti yat sakalam parasmai Narayanayeti samarpayet tat. In accordance with one's particular nature, whatever one does with body, words, mind, senses, intelligence, or purified consciousness, one should offer to the Lord, thinking, this is for the pleasure of Lord Narayana. Sārārtha-darśīni commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. The intelligent person who begins the process prescribed later in verse 39 should become absorbed in that process with all his functions, such as speech. The meaning is this. Just as the material person, starting in the morning, performs actions such as urinating, passing stool, washing his mouth, brushing his teeth, bathing, seeing, hearing, and speaking for material happiness, and performs rituals for worship of the devatas and pitris, so the devotee of the Lord will do all these same activities as service to the Lord. These become angas of bhakti. Whatever he performs according to his nature, which has been acquired by beginningless identification with the body, using his body, mind, words, senses, intelligence, and chitta, should be performed as a service to Narayan. The dative case has been used in the sense of for that purpose. Oh, now we come to the very famous verse, Bhayam Ditya Biniveshadasyad. We published a whole book by my Gurudev on this verse. It's called Gurudeva Tatma. Bhayam Ditya Abhiniveshatasyad Isharapetasya Viparyayospriti Tanmayayato Buddha Abhajetam Bhaktyayakayesham Gurudeva Tatma. For the jiva averse to the Lord, there will be samsara consisting of identity with the body and lack of identity with the soul, because of his absorption in the material coverings on the soul, arising from the Lord's Maya. Therefore, the intelligent person, taking Guru as his Lord and very self, should fully worship the Lord with pure bhakti. Commentary. However, the devotee should not fear bondage from samsara. Fear naturally is destroyed for the person who starts bhakti. Because of the false identity arising from the imposition of body and senses, For the jiva averse to the Lord, there will be fear or samsara. But there is no fear for the person faithful to the Lord. Tavad raga dayastenas, tavat kara griham griham, tavan mohong nigado, yavat Krishna nate jana. O Krishna, until people become your devotees, their material attachments and desires remain thieves, their homes remain prisons, and their affectionate feelings for their family members remain foot shackles. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 10th Canto, chapter 14, verse 36. That fear, or samsara, takes two forms, the form of reversal and the form of forgetfulness. Reversal means thinking oneself to be the body, different from the soul. Forgetfulness means not remembering that one is a soul. I don't see the difference between reversal and forgetfulness here. It means thinking oneself to be the body, different from the soul. Forgetfulness means not remembering that one is a soul. Isn't that the same thing? Anyways, a person does not ask questions concerning the past and future, such as, who am I? What should I do? What was I before? What will I be after? This fear arises by the maya of the Lord. It is said, Smriti Bhrankshar Buddhinasho Buddhinashat Pranashati. It's from Bhagavad Gita 263. From loss of memory, intelligence is lost, and from loss of intelligence, one is destroyed. Because of this, the intelligent person getting his intelligence by the mercy of Guru's lotus feet should fully worship the Lord by pure bhakti, which is devoid of all of other desires and devoid of karma or gyan. This person considers the Guru to be as dear as the Lord and his very self. Avidyamano pyavabhati dvayo dhyatur dhiya swapna manoratho yata tat karma sankalpa vikalpakang mano buddho nirundhyar abhayam tatasyat. The world of enjoyment, even if it is not directly present, remains an influence on the jiva who thinks of the enjoyment, just as he does in a dream or in a desire in the mind. The world of enjoyment, even though not directly present, remains an influence on the jiva who thinks of the enjoyment, just as he does in a dream or in a desire in the mind. Therefore, the intelligent person will control the mind which accepts and rejects actions. Then he becomes fearless. Commentary. One who does not have the enjoyments like garlands, sandalwood, and women, or who lives in the forest renouncing them, should not have this fear. Do not say this. The world of enjoyment, though not present, remains in the mind for the person who still thinks of enjoyments. It is like the desires or dreams created by the mind. Therefore, one should control the mind which accepts or rejects actions. Control of the mind, however, will not take place except by devotion to the lotus feet of Guru and by no other method. It is said in the Vedas, Vijita Rishika Vayubhir Adanta Manas Turagam Ya Iha Yatanti Yatum Atilo Lam Upaya Kida Vyasana Shatanvita Samavahaya Guroshcharanam Vanija Ivaja Santyakrita Karna Dhara Jalado. The mind is like an impetuous horse that even persons who have regulated their senses and breath cannot control. Those in this world who try to tame the uncontrolled mind, but who abandon the lotus feet of their spiritual master, encounter hundreds of obstacles in their cultivation of various distressful practices. O unborn Lord, they are like merchants on a boat in the ocean who have failed to employ a helmsman. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:87-33. Rajas tamas cha sattvena sattvam chopashamena cha etat sarvam guru bhaktya purusho hyanjasa jayet. One who conquers the mode of passion and ignorance by predominance of sattva. One conquers rajas and tamas by predominance of sattva. One conquers sattva by being indifferent to the results of actions. One conquers all of these obstacles quickly and easily by devotion to Guru. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7:15-25. This has been said in the previous verse as well. Shrinvan subhadrani ratangapanir janmani karmani chayani loke gitani namani tarartakani kayan vilajjo vichared asangaha. Hearing the most auspicious birth and activities of Krishna, which are sung by all people, singing his names which describe those activities, while having no attachments to anything else, a person should without shame wander in the world. Commentary. It has just been said that one should worship the Lord with devotion. What is that bhakti? This verse answers. One should sing the names of the Lord which describe him in different languages, and hear about his births and activities through scripture and disciplic succession, and which are sung by all people, even ungrammatically. Singing and chanting, devoid of attachments to anything else, he should wander around. Oh, this is a very famous verse also. Wow, so many famous verses in this. Evam vrata sapriya nama kirtya jatanurago druta chitta uchay hasatyato roti gaya tyunmadavan rityati lokabahya. Regulated with such devotion, chanting the name of his dear Krishna, he develops prem. His heart melts, and he laughs loudly, weeps, wails, and sings. He dances like a madman without regard for the public. Commentary. This verse describes the transcendental activities of a person beyond samsara who has attained prem. He who has been regulated in this way particularly chants the names of Krishna who is dear to him, those names which are dear to him, or he chants the names. Let me reread this. He who has been regulated in this way particularly chants the names of Krishna who is dear to him, or he chants the names which are dear to him. By chanting, he has developed prem, jatanuraga, and great longing to see the Lord. His heart melts like molten gold. Oh, that thief, the son of Yashoda, has entered a house to steal the butter. He should be caught and driven away. When Krishna hears the voice of an old woman in the house, he begins to flee. Seeing Krishna in this sudden appearance, he laughs. When his vision disappears, he laments and weeps. He wails, "Oh, I had attained a great treasure, and now it has escaped my hands. O Lord, where are you? Give me an answer." The Lord says, "O devotee, hearing your wailing, I have come." Again the Lord appears, and seeing him, the devotee sings, "Today I have become successful." In bliss he dances madly. He does not care whether people laugh, praise, respect, or disrespect him. Hare Krishna Sharmaji. Kang vayum agnim salilam mahingcha jyotingshit satvani disho drumadin saret samudrangscha harer shariram yat kim cha bhutam pranamer ananya. A devotee devoted only to the Lord should bow down to ether, fire, air, water, earth, the sun, and other luminaries, all living beings, the directions, trees, and other plants, the rivers and oceans, seeing them as the body of Krishna. Commentary. The Puranas say, Narayanam ayam dhira pashyanti paramarthina Jagardhananmayam lubdha kamukha kamanimayam. A devotee sees everyone and everything in relationship with Narayan. Everything is an expansion of Narayan's energy. Just as those who are greedy see everything as a source of money-making, and those who are lusty see everything as women. That is illustrated in this verse. The potential mood of the verb is used. Whatever falls within one's vision, one should see it as the manifestation of the body of Shyamasundar in the state of prem. Or the devotee, contemplating his state of perfection, even in the state of sadhan, sees in this way. Knowing that the Lord's body is the basis of all elements such as ether, he should offer respects. For him, there is no object of service except for Krishna. Oh, this is another very famous verse. Bhakti pareshanu bhavo viraktir anyatra chaisha trika ekakalaha prapadyamanasya yatashnatashyus tushti pushtikshur apayo nughasam. Devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of Krishna, in the same way that pleasure, fullness of the stomach, and relief from hunger are experienced simultaneously with each bite for a person engaged in eating. Commentary. An example is given to show that even at the stage of sadhan, which gives great happiness, one achieves the result. When there is bhakti in the form of hearing and chanting about Krishna, the supreme deity, there should be a sweet experience. At that time, there should also be an experience of detachment from material happiness. These three should arise at the same time for the person who worships Krishna. Similarly, for a person who eats, there is happiness, nourishment, and disappearance of hunger with each mouthful. As one takes a mouthful of rice, this happens. Just as a person who eats a little gets a little satisfaction, a little nourishment, fullness of the stomach, and a little relief from hunger, so a person who worships the Lord a little with hearing and chanting gets a little experience of the Lord and a little detachment from material life. And just as a person who eats a lot gets full satisfaction, full nourishment, and full relief from hunger, so a person who worships the Lord fully experiences the Lord fully and becomes completely detached from material life. But though it is impossible to keep eating, by more worship of the Lord, one becomes more capable of worshiping. That is the difference. Ittachutangram bhajato nirvritya bhaktir viraktir bhagavat prabodha bhavanti Bhāgavatasya rajangs tata parang shantim upaiti shakshat. O King, the devotee who worships the lotus feet of the infallible Lord with constant endeavor achieves unflinching devotion, detachment, and experience of the Lord. He achieves supreme happiness. Commentary. This verse supports the meaning of the previous verse. That person achieves extreme happiness, param shantim. Shirajuvacha Ata Bhagavatam Bruta Yadharma Yadrisho Nrinam Yata Charati Yar Brute Yar Lingar Bhagavat Priya. Now Nimi Maharaj asks his second question. Now please tell me about the devotees of the Supreme Lord, their natures, the different types, the conduct and speech by which one can know who is dear to the Lord. Commentary. The previous verse mentions the devotees. He asks concerning their qualities. What is their nature? What is their dharma? This is a question about their mental condition. What types of devotees are there? This is a question about the various grades of devotees. What is their conduct? This is a question about their bodily nature. What do they say? This is a question about their speech. Why should one ask such questions? By these characteristics, one can infer who is dear to the Lord. So the first question was answered by Kavi, and now the second question about who are the devotees, what are the different kinds of devotees, is answered by Shri Havi. Shri Havir Uvacha Sarva Bhuteshu Ya Pashyed Bhagavar Bhavamatmana Bhutani Bhagavatyatmanyesha Bhagavatottama. This is the definition of a pure devotee of Uttam Bhagavat. Havi said, the most advanced devotee sees the Supreme Lord, one's object of worship, within everything, and sees everything in the Supreme Lord. Commentary. One should see the presence, the bhavam of the Lord, who is one's atmana, one's object of worship. Who is one's is atmana, of, let me reread this. One should see the presence, the bhavam of the Lord, who's atmana, one's object of worship, in all things. When Hiranyakashipu asked, where is your Lord? Prahlad said, he is everywhere. One can see the Lord even in a pillar. In this way, he saw his worshipable Lord. Similarly, one should see all living beings in the Lord, the object of one's worship, just as Yashoda saw all beings in the belly of Krishna. There is another meaning. One should see all beings as having prema for the Lord, absorbed in the Lord who appears in their minds. This is shown by the prema of the gopis and the queens of Dwarka. Vanalatastarava atmani Vishnum Vyanjayantya iva pushpapaladya pranatabharavitapa madhudhara premarishta tanavo vivrishusma. The trees and creepers in the forest respond by becoming so luxuriant with fruits and flowers that they seem to be manifesting Lord Vishnu within their hearts. As their branches bend low with the weight, the filaments on their trunks and vines stand erect out of the ecstasy of love of God, and both the trees and the creepers pour down a rain of sweet sap. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:35-9. Nadyastadatar upadharya mukunda gitam avarta lakshita mano bhava vega alinganasta gitamurmi bujhar murarir grinanti pada yugalam kamalo pahara. When the rivers hear the flute song of Krishna, their minds begin to desire him, and thus the flow of their currents is broken, and their waters are agitated, moving around in whirlpools. Then, with the arms of their waves, the rivers embrace Murari's lotus feet, and, holding on to them, present offerings of lotus flowers. Kurari vilapasitvam vitane dranasheshe swapiti jagatiratram ishvara gupta bodha payamiva sakikachir karanir vidacheta nalina nayana hasodhara lilekshitena. O Kurari bird, you are lamenting. Now it is night, and somewhere in this world the Supreme Lord is asleep in a hidden place. But you are wide awake, O friend, unable to fall asleep. Is it that, like us, you have had your heart pierced to the core by the lotus-eyed Lord's munificent, playful, smiling glances? That is in the last chapter of Śrīmad, to the 10th canto. Nachalasi narvadasyudhara bodhe kshitidhara chintayase mahantamartam apibata vasudeva nandanangrim vayamiva kamaya se stanar vidhartum. O magnanimous mountain, you neither move nor speak. You must be pondering some matter of great importance. Or do you, like us, desire to hold unto your breast the feet of Vasudev's darling son? Same chapter, verse 22. So one should contemplate these verses of the gopis and mahishis, the queens of Dwarka. And one should contemplate the mood of the Lord within oneself as being present in all living entities. Sanatana Goswami says this meaning is approved by past authorities. One should see in this way. This implies that one must gain qualification for seeing. One must gain qualification for seeing, rather than being able to see like this at all times. However, this does not apply to Narad, Vyasa, and Shukadev. They do not see the Lord they do not see the Lord at all times, everywhere, but this increases their desire for him. When this longing to see the Lord increases further, the devotees see the whole world as the Lord, based on the logic that a lusty man sees women everywhere. And according to the saying that one sees everyone else like oneself, Atmavan manyate jagat, they see all beings as suffering from the eagerness for prem. One should not explain that the verb to see here means to know, and that therefore the best devotee is he who knows the Lord. He who knows the Lord is in everything, and everything is in the Lord, simply by scriptural knowledge. Okay, so one should not explain that the verb to see means to know, and that therefore the best devotee is he who knows the Lord is in everything, and that everything is in the Lord, simply by scriptural knowledge. Okay, now we come to the definition of Madhyam Bhakta. Ishvare tadadhineshu balisheshu dvishachucha prema maitri kripopeksha ya karoti samadhyama. An intermediate or second-class devotee, called a Madhyam Adhikari, offers his love to the Supreme Lord, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord. He shows mercy to ignorant people who are innocent, and disregards those who are envious of the Lord. Commentary. The Madhyam devotee shows prem for the Lord, his object of worship. This actually means he has attachment for the Lord rather than prem. He has friendship with the devotees, those who are dependent on the Lord. He shows mercy to those who are ignorant of bhakti. Since even Bharat, Vyas, and Shukadev did not show mercy to all persons they saw, it should be explained that this mercy to the ignorant arises on its own. This is understood from the example of the mountain. Girayo mumuchustoyam kvachena mumuchuhu shivam yata jnanamritam kale jnanino dadate nava. Shivam yata jnanamritam kale jnanino dadate nava. During this season, the mountains sometimes released their pure water and sometimes did not, just as experts in transcendental science sometimes give the nectar of transcendental knowledge and sometimes do not. That is in 10th Canto, chapter 20, verse 36. They avoid those who hate the Lord, since they know the mercy will be useless. The proper conduct is to remain at a distance from those who show hatred to oneself with the understanding that they are foolish, and at the same time wish them good luck. The Madhyam devotee, who does not have the qualification to see the Lord in all beings, is characterized by these four qualities. When he is seen to have that quality, then he should be considered an Uttam devotee. But even among Uttam devotees like Narad, one will see these four qualities of prem, friendship, mercy, and indifference also manifest. Okay, now we come to the definition of a Kanishta Adhikari. a Kanishta Bhakta. Archayam eva haraye, pujamya shraddhaye hate, natar bhakteshu chanyeshu, sabhakta prakrita smrita. A devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple, but does not behave properly toward other devotees or people in general, is called an unrefined devotee. Commentary. Sridhar Swami explains this verse as follows. Archayam means in the deity. He faithfully engages in worship of the deity to please the Lord, Haraye. He does not worship the Lord's devotees or others. He is considered a beginning, a prakrita devotee. This initial bhakti gradually will become uttama bhakti. The question about the nature of the devotees and the types of devotees has now been answered. Hari Bol, Prajamna Prabhu and Mantra Murti Mataji. Grihitva pindriyar artam yo na dveshti na hrishyati Vishnur mayam idam pashyan savai bhagavatottama. Even while engaging his senses in contact with their objects, one who sees this whole world as the energy of Lord Vishnu and is neither repelled nor elated is the greatest among devotees. Commentary. Other qualities of the Uttama devotees are now mentioned in 8 verses according to differing dispositions of those devotees. Tehendriya pranamanodiyam yo janmapyayak shurvaya tarshakritray sangsara dharmar avimohyamana smritya harir bhagavata pradhana. A person who, by remembering the Lord, is not bewildered by the qualities of sangsar, such as birth and death of the body, hunger of the pranas, fear in the mind, longing in the intelligence, and fatigue in the senses, is the best among the devotees. Commentary. One who is not bewildered by the qualities of sangsar, such as birth in different bodies, is the best of devotees. He is not bewildered by birth and death concerning the body, by hunger and thirst concerning the pranas, by fear in the mind, by longing in the intelligence, and by fatigue of the senses. Nakama karma bijana yasya chetasi sambhava vasudevaika nilaya savai bhagavatottama. The person completely surrendered to the Lord, in whose mind no impressions, desires, or actions arise, is considered to be the best of devotees. Commentary. Impressions do not arise in his mind. Furthermore, desires for women, etc., and actions by the senses do not arise. These 3 do not occur in his mind. The 3 verses starting from verse 48 answer the question about the conduct of the devotee. He is free from hatred, joy, illusion, and lust in his actions. The rest of the chapter mentions more qualities of the devotees. Nayasya janma karma bhyam na varnashrama jatibi sajatesmin aham bhavo dehe vaisa hare priya. He whose body does not give rise to false identity with good family, pious actions, or caste considerations is dear to the Lord. Commentary. Janma refers to being born in a good family. Karma means activities like japa and meditation. Jatibi means by castes such as Ambhashta, a mixture of Brahman, man, and Vaishya woman. He in whose body there is no ahankar is dear to the Lord. Nayasya sva para iti Viteshvatma nibhavabhidha Sarvabhuta samashanta Savai bhagavatottama. He who does not think that wealth is he who does not think that wealth is his, who does not think in terms of self and other, who is equal to all beings and peaceful, is the best devotee. Commentary. Swa means one's own group, and para means an enemy. He does not consider wealth to be his. He does not show affection for his body and hatred for other bodies. Tribhuvana vibhava hetave pyakunta smritirajjitatma suradibir vimrigyat na chalati bhagavat padaravindalava nimishardam apiya savaishnavargya. He whose remembrance is not lured by dominion over the three worlds, and who does move for half a minute or half a second from the Lord's lotus feet, which are sought by the devatas who also meditate on the Lord, is the best of devotees. Okay, so he whose remembrance is not lured by dominion over the three worlds, and who does not move for half a minute, and who does move for half a minute or half a second from the Lord's lotus feet. I think it must be meaning to say who does not move for half a minute or half a second from the Lord's lotus feet. Right? Whose remembrance does not move. Let me just check the comments because that doesn't make sense. Wait, that's chapter 1. Let's see, what verse is this? This is verse 53. Okay. Okay, let's read this translation. The lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are sought even by the greatest of demigods, such as Brahma and Shiva, who have all accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their life and soul. A pure devotee of the Lord can never forget those lotus feet in any circumstance. He will not give up his shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord for a single moment. Indeed, not for half a moment, even in exchange for the benediction of ruling and enjoying the opulence of the entire universe. Such a devotee of the Lord is to be considered the best of the Vaishnavas. Yeah, see, it said not half a moment. Commentary. The best devotee's remembrance cannot be lured even for gaining lordship over the three worlds. Na parameshtam, na mahendradishnam, na sarvabhaumam, na rasadipatyam, na yoga siddhir apunar bhavam va, mayarpitat me chatimar vinanyat. One who has fixed his consciousness on me desires neither the position or abode of Brahma or Indra, nor an empire on the earth, nor sovereignty in the lower planetary systems, nor the eightfold perfection of yoga, nor liberation. Such a person desires me alone. At Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11, chapter 14, verse 14. He does not move for half a second from the lotus feet of the Lord, which are hard to obtain, and thus only sought by devatas who concentrate their minds on the Lord. Or another meaning is, the Lord's lotus feet are sought by the devatas who cannot control their senses, so they can rule the three worlds. Okay. Bhagavata Uru Vikramangri Shaka Nakamani Chandrikaya Nirastatape Hridikatam Upasidatam Punasa Prabhavati Chandra Ivoditer Katapa. How can the heat of material existence again arise in the hearts of those who worship the Lord, since the heat of lust is destroyed by the Lord's heroic lotus feet, his toes, his toenails,
his toe jewels, and the soothing light from his feet. When the moon rises, the heat of the sun is dissipated. Commentary. If there is agitation of lust by seeking material enjoyment, the devotee will be disturbed. But such lust does not exist in the great devotees. How can the heat again arise in the hearts of persons who worship the Lord, who has destroyed the heat of lust by his 2 heroic feet, by his toes, by his toenails, by the jewels on his toes, by the cool rays emanating from those toes? When the moon rises, the sun's heat is destroyed. Okay, now we come to the last verse of this chapter. Visrijati hridayam nayasya shakshad Darirvasha bhito pyaghoka nasha pranaya rasanaya dhritangri parma sabhavati bhagavata pradhana uktaha. He who binds the lotus feet of the Lord by ropes of love, and whose heart the Lord, the destroyer of heaps of sin, does not leave, even if beckoned accidentally, is called the best of devotees. Sorry. So he who binds the lotus feet of the Lord by ropes of love, and whose heart the Lord who is a destroyer of heaps of sin, does not leave even if beckoned accidentally. That devotee is called the best of that person is called the best of devotees. Commentary. This is the essence of all the qualities. The Lord himself does not give up the heart of this devotee. What is the problem with even heaps of sins? The Lord, just being addressed, even accidentally, destroys a multitude of sins. What to speak then of chanting with a taste for ras continuously? This verse answers the question. What do the devotees speak? This verse answers the question, what do the devotees speak? Why does the Lord not leave the temple of their hearts? The devotee binds the lotus feet of the Lord to his heart by the ropes of affection. Just as Yashoda bound Krishna to the mortar by her prem, the Lord who binds all jivas by the chains of Maya is bound by the chains of prem by the devotee. Thus ends the commentary on the 2nd chapter of the 11th Canto of the Bhagavatam for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vikagiri Dhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Gurudev ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nityala Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nityala Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Nityala Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shila Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nityala Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki Jai. Nityala Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rupa Nugauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopala Padadash Raghunath, Shad Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Shila Haridas Ṭhākura ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Avishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai. Shri Amuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Shri Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. 11th Canto ki jai. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura Sārārtha-darśīni commentary ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Alright, everybody, so today we heard the questions from Nimi. What's the supreme good for the entire humanity? And then, what are the qualities and behavior of a devotee? So those are the questions we heard today. And tomorrow, we will hear the answers to the questions. Please describe Maya, or the illusory energy of the Lord Vishnu, that bewilders even great mystics. So Antariksha will answer that question. And then we'll also hear about mukti. How can a foolish materialist become disassociated from Maya? And also we'll hear, please describe the transcendental position of Narayan. So we'll hear these three questions and answers to them. All right, everybody, see you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna, Arjun Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Hari Bon, dear Mataji. All right, see you.